we've been talking about fear and how we respond to it, and if it's a good thing or not. And we each are going to give our personal intake and what we've read, and we just hope that we do a good job.
You will.
Oh.
Each of us are going to take up about a good 15, 20 minutes, maybe, possibly, I don't know.
I can't promise that.
I'm going to take a good 20 minutes, maybe, I don't know. I go on a rant a lot, so.
I can give you a good 30 seconds.
Thank you.
But it will be a good 30 seconds.
Can I ask for one of your shoes?
Because Jesse told me it was untied and I didn't want to, like, you know, tie it in front of everyone, so I was like, just take it.
Because that's less noticeable.
Shh. No, I don't want the other one. Shh. Doesn't matter. So, I'm going to speak first, and it's going to go Howie, and it's going Jesse. I don't know where they're standing, I'm going to take a while, so. Then you guys know. So, fear. Wow, this is really weird with one shoe on.
Yeah.
Fear has a huge, I'm just going to leave it. Fear has a huge effect on every single one of us, and for me, fear was always kind of bred from hate. How many of you hate things? Raise your hand, don't lie. Yeah, we hate. It's just what we do, and we can't stop it. I hate a lot of things. I'm not going to lie. I do. I hate a lot of things. But, you know, it's kind of how you react to it. How you react to it. And if you can be mature about it. And, you know, and whatnot. But fear is where we're good at. Jeez. Where do we begin? Maybe it won't take 20 minutes. What I'm always afraid of is, well, there's two kind of different fears. There's like that social fear, where you mess up in front of anyone. Then there's that fear of something. That's always how I thought about it. And I have 3 fears of something. One is bears. I'm going to do this part real quick. It's bears, tornadoes. Actually, I think it's just those 2. But those things have always put me in a state of worry. They've paralyzed me completely. And I don't think I could ever handle a situation where a bear is involved. I don't think I could ever handle a situation where a tornado is involved. Twister. Where a twister is involved. I can't handle it. So that kind of fear is kind of tied in with our fear of God, but in an opposite sense. Because when you fear God, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to fear God. And? Well, 1 second. Not yet. Okay. You got a question?
No.
Okay. You got a question?
Oh, no.
You guys have your hands up. Raise your hand if you're afraid of something, as in you're afraid of like an animal or everyone. Except for those 2. They're really strong. You guys are afraid of things. It's just, I've already had that conversation. I've been afraid of bears and tornadoes all my life. I've been through every conversation involving with bears and tornadoes.
They're really cute.
And it's that kind of fear. That kind of fear is something that's just natural to us. There's no one who isn't afraid. We are all afraid of something. And when that moment comes where we interact with that something that we're afraid of, it hits us both emotionally, physically, and just about every way possible. But how do you guys feel when you fear God? Like in your reading and you start getting afraid. Just that's like kind of doubt in your head, like, am I doing this right? That fear, similar to the fear you feel when you're around that thing you're afraid of? Don't answer that. I found this in the room. I kind of used it. They don't mind. I found 2 verses in the Bible. This thing's amazing. I kid you not. It's great. I'm not gonna lie. We'll figure it out later. It helped me find these verses quickly. And when I read them, it gave me some time to think about them because I didn't have to search for them. Both these verses are about fear. One of them is the fear in the sense, like, let's go to Job. Am I right this time? Job. Just look at this real quick. Job, chapter 1, verse 8. Then the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is a blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil. And when I read that, I was like, man who fears God and shuns evil. And I was like, who's this guy? And I thought about it and I was like, oh man. But it kind of made me think for a little bit. And it made me think, I had to ask them on their input on this verse, and it kind of didn't know what to think about it. It was just kind of like, he fears God, but he shuns evil. But then I realized that it was fear in the good sense. Like, it's okay to be afraid of God, because, he loves you. It's kind of like that father, that father figure you're afraid of. That, he loves you, but, do something bad, you might get in trouble. It's kind of that kind of fear. And that verse made me think a lot, and kind of questioned a lot of things because of that verse. I was just completely dumbstruck with that verse. I didn't know what to think about it, but these guys helped me think about these losers. But, not losers, but, fear with me has always been fear has always been either bred from or leads to hate. No one likes saying that word. Some of us were raised not to say that word. It's not a good word. It's a very mean and crude word. And, it's a very strong word. Very hate. All those letters in there are very strong. When you say it to someone and you mean it and you hate them, it's kind of like, you hurt their feelings and you end up hurting their feelings. But some people say, I hate you, and ha ha ha, just kidding. But maybe these days we're kind of overusing that word hate. Maybe it's not that we're, man, I hate class. Or I hate that teacher. We use hate too much. And after a long time of using that word too much, it ends up it loses value and meaning. And hate's a special word, I guess. Fear is also another one of those words where you're afraid of something. You're fearless. Like the lion. Fearless lion. But it's just kind of something I always kind of look down on myself about. So I'm like, man, I hate that guy. And then I start thinking about it, I'm like, dude, what's wrong with you? It's not cool. Sometimes I express those feelings too, that I don't like that person. Then later that day, I'm like, why'd I do that? You're thinking, I need to apologize. You don't really hate that person. No one does. No one hates people. People don't hate people. That's impossible. Another phrase that this book helped me find is Isaiah chapter 50, quote 10. Give me a second. Okay, there it is. Who among you fears the Lord and obeys the word of his servant? Let him who walks in the dark, who has no light, trust in the name of the Lord and rely on his God. Anybody got any thoughts on that? No? Okay. Just saying. I read that and one of those verses where I was just like, wait, I read it a couple times so I can understand it. Then I asked these two, again, if they could help me out with this. Because I can't really read this on my own. I might interpret it wrong. We all interpret things just a little off sometimes. But they helped me kind of get to it. It's, who among you fears the Lord? When you yell at, people start thinking, I'm not afraid of him. No, they get offensive. They get into it. Who among you fears the Lord and obeys the word of his servant? the second part is like, wait, what did he say? But among you fears the Lord and obeys the word of his servant. Who do you guys think the servant is? You guys are right? I'm pretty good. But it's let him who walks in the dark, who has no light, trust the name of the Lord and rely on his God. What I kind of figured that from is like when you're in the dark, you can't trust your eyesight and you can't trust your judgment. There's nothing to judge, so you gotta rely on your faith. So when it's kind of like, so let's act like we're not walking in the dark for once. We're going through a really tough phase. Hey, maybe therapy or counseling. And you're kind of getting on the road where everything's just way too hard to handle. And you start breaking down every night. And you start thinking about where you're going and what you're doing and how things are affecting you. You're thinking everything that you're afraid of and everything that you don't like and everything you're fear, everything you're afraid of. It's all just in the end. You have nothing left. And you're walking in the dark. And all there is to really rely on is your faith. So when you're afraid and fear takes you over, it's kind of, that faith, take control of that. I get to share with you guys a little bit personal stuff. Anyway, I think about this. What is there? Do you guys have ever feared a person before?
Yes.
Like not God, but a person? Oh, God isn't a person. A person, like someone walking around.
Yeah.
Like someone you see every day. Are you afraid of them?
Yes.
Yes.
Like who?
My dad.
Your dad?
Yeah.
Who else said yes? It's okay. When you're afraid of a person, it's one of those things that it's kind of hard to deal with because it's a person. They think for themselves, they talk to themselves, and they do things on their own. You gotta remember, they're a person. They're afraid of things too. And you can talk with them, and you can do things to help you and help them. And kind of going on a rant here, and I'm almost done. Don't worry. And you're afraid of that person. Sometimes the best thing you can do is confront them. Why are you afraid of your dad? Mean?
Bipolar.
Like legit, or are you over-exaggerating?
No, like legit. He has depression and he's bipolar. He gets mad out easily.
I can get that. I have this issue. I've only shared with like 2 or 3 people. It's a bad issue. Anger problem. That and there when I yelled, I was just kidding. No, I wasn't really mad. You guys won't be quiet. I had to be louder than you. No, but it's, I have a fear of myself, of when I get angry. Because I'm kind of a very awful person when I'm angry. And I hate it. Because once I relax and I cool down and I think about it, I'm like, wow, Chris, really? Like, I start getting super, bummed out of myself, and I end up just going to sleep because I just can't stay awake thinking about what I was doing when I was angry. I didn't hurt anyone, just myself. But when all of this just always leads to, where are you leaning when you're afraid and you don't know where to channel that? Are you leaning into something that's strong, that's going to support you? I mean, it's a lot difficult when you try standing on your own. And throughout some time you realize you can't stand on your own. Lean on me, but no, not strong.
I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on.
But I've always had trouble with this. I've always been that kind of person who's like, I can do it on my own. I don't need this help. I don't need help. I don't need any form of it. And after a while, your legs start to get tired. You start getting tired of standing. You get lonely because no one wants to be around someone who keeps saying to themselves, I got it. And they don't. And you see it in their actions, and you see it in their words. you see someone try doing things on their own, maybe sometimes you gotta be just a little bit forceful. Say, hey, I'm right here. I mean, just remember that. No one can stand on their own. And we all just kind of need to lean on God. Because God is strong enough to hold us, and God is strong enough to help us. And how He helps you, it could be through a person, it could be through an animal. Animals have helped me, I'm not going to lie. It could be through anything. But just as it is, you can't stand on your own, and you got to remember that you're not afraid of that, and you can't be afraid of that. And, just think about fear. What does that mean to you? How are you afraid? Is there different aspects of fear? How are you afraid? Oh, wow. How are you afraid of things? And how that affects you. Because after a long time, when you're afraid, when you start standing on your own, and it's just you, it's no one else. Because you spent so much time letting everyone know that you got it. That I got it. I can stand on my own. I got this. I can handle this schoolwork on my own. I can handle these problems on my own. I don't need anyone's help. After a long time of doing that, you realize that you can't. And that no one is there now. Because you spent too much time standing. But there's always God. No matter what you do, He is there. No matter what you say, He's there. This is an amazing youth group. I mean, there's a lot of people here that you can call on. A lot of people. These two, I've called on them so many times. I call on them. I always get emotional when I start talking about my friends. I call on them way too many times, but they're there. They're good people. And you guys are too, so.